salary finance family. Now, Neighbour is a benefit made available to you by your employer, which includes access to financial education and loans repaid through your salary, affordable loans that are repaid through your salary. And our mission is to help millions of employees to get and stay financially healthy and happy. Now, I just need to point out to, before we get into the main body of the presentation, that this session isn't personal financial advice, and even comments at the end. And if you're in any doubt about your own situation, you should either contact your local Citizens Advice Bureau for money guidance help, or a regulated financial advisor if you need personal financial advice. Now, I developed a concept called the 8 money milestones. And this is a way that I teach people to improve their financial well-being. And milestones 1 to 4, you do those in order, one after the other. But then milestones 5 to 8, they can be done together, so concurrently. And the reason why that is because 1, 2, 3, and 4 creates the foundation on which everything else is based. Now, in today's session, I'm going to cover milestone 1, which is about creating a spending plan. So if we just think about this, that learning to control your day-to-day spending is the essential foundation upon which all of your financial well-being is built. Now, just bear in mind this particular statement. It doesn't matter how much money you earn. If you can't control your spending, you're going to find it really hard to get on top of your money. And we all know that living payday to payday is no fun at all. And I know from personal experience. Now, getting control over your day-to-day spending is absolutely vital if you want to avoid racking up debt and the stress that goes with that. You want to be able to handle life's money curveballs, as I call it, and turn a drama into a mere inconvenience. And that you want to be able to afford those little luxuries like a takeaway or whatever it is without feeling guilty. And you want to be able to pay off debt, build wealth, and have more choice and more fun. So we've got the first poll. So let's go to the first poll. Again, slido.com, event code /20906. I want to know how you would describe your current day-to-day spending. So do you have a detailed budget and you follow it really closely? Do you have a detailed budget and follow it loosely? Do you have a rough budget and you follow it loosely? Or have you got no budget and no idea at all where your money goes? So please vote away and choose one of those. So 1, detailed budget and follow it closely, detailed budget and follow it loosely, a rough budget and follow it loosely, or no budget and no idea where my money goes. Slido.com, event code /20906. Now, my colleague Renee is keeping an eye on the Slido situation. Have we got any results there, Renee?
Yes, we do. We have, shall I read out the results now, Jason?
Yeah. Probably change it by the second.
Yes, so for the leader at the moment is I have a rough budget, follow it loosely with 56%.
Right.
I have a detailed budget and follow it closely, 30%. I have a detailed budget and follow it closely, 10%. I have no budget and have no idea where my money goes, 0%.
Well, it's very unusual to have 0% on number 4. That's for sure. The point here is that if you are the average person, you've got a rough budget and you loosely follow it. That's about, was that 51, 52%?
Yeah, 55% now.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so look, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, if you answered 2, 3, or 4 to that poll question, then you can see that you're not alone and you're entirely normal. Very few people have a detailed budget and follow it closely, right? They just don't. And I'll explain why. Because budgeting and controlling day-to-day spending just doesn't come naturally to people. And most people, because we make our money decisions based on emotions and based on how we react to things, as opposed to logic and rational thought. Okay, it doesn't mean we don't have rational thought. It doesn't mean we don't apply it, but most of our decisions are emotionally based. But here's the thing: learning to control your spending is a skill that can be learned over time. And I know because in my 20s, I was a complete and utter train wreck with my money. I don't think I've met someone who was worse than me in my early 20s. I had well over £30,000 in non-mortgage debt. My bank account was an ugly mess. I had people chasing me for money all the time. And all of that was despite me earning what at the time was an above average income. And I would be embarrassed to admit that to anyone at the time. But I did turn my life around. And I'm today financially independent. I have no debt. I work because I want to, not because I have to. And I say that to brag. I'm just saying you can go from zero to hero. You can go from money disaster to money master. It can be done. And we want to make money our servant, not our master. Okay, and that's what it's all about. So here's the first thing. The first thing we've got to do is banish this word budget. That word sounds to me restrictive, painful, hard work, and quite frankly, boring. It's the sort of thing accountants do. And I'm very sorry if any of you are accountants or work in accounts. Nothing wrong and nothing against you. It's just that word is what puts people off. What we need, in my opinion, and what helped me turn my life around is a spending plan. It's a plan for spending our money, right? And crucially, we need to know how to stick to it, or rather stay within it. And I want you to bear in mind that a spending plan is a framework. It's a context. It's not a straitjacket, and it is okay to vary it. So this is a skill that's going to take a little time and effort to get to grips with, but it will be worth it. So, okay, let's first of all look at why most budgets don't work. Most personal budgets don't work. And the reason is essentially many people don't know where their money is currently going. They don't know the truth. So they've got an idea. And I'm having a house built in my garden, right? And so I see lots of tradespeople coming and going. And there's a guy who's a plasterer. And I told him how much my regular costs were a month. And bear in mind, I don't have a mortgage, so I don't have massive costs. And he said, oh, no, I don't have anything like that. He said, my regular expenses are £1,500 a month. I said, oh, OK. So you haven't got a car on finance? Oh, yeah. I say, OK, so what about your holiday? Oh, well, that's separate. And before you knew it, he'd gone from £1,500 to £2,800 a month because he hadn't included lots of stuff that he discounted his money. He was just including his direct debits. And of course, that's not the truth of the spending. The second thing is that they've got a completely unrealistic idea about what is possible, what's sustainable, and what can be achieved in the short term. They've got unrealistic expectations. And what happens is if you've got unrealistic expectations and you go into something and then you fail, you feel like a failure and you think, well, I'm not going to try that again because I don't know how to budget. You've had a bad experience. The other thing is that they have no system, right? It's a lot easier to do stuff if you've got a system to follow, a framework. But if you've got no system, it's going to be extra hard for you to control your money. And here's the final thing, and I see this a lot, not giving it enough time and attention. I find people spend more time on social media or more time booking their holiday when you can book holidays, but things that aren't adding to they're not adding to their financial well-being, but spending enough time and attention and giving this the respect it deserves, it will actually free you up. It will make you free before you realize it, because it's actually about freeing you up from and understanding what you can and can't do. So let's going to take this in step by step before we get into the questions. And do please, if you've got questions, either put them in the chat box or put them anonymously in Slido, please. Very happy thing. I don't know what's happened to the word there, but that's embrace all your expenses. Okay. You need to basically be clear about everything, as I said before, your truth, everything, right? Now, you might think that your spending is like this. Let's just say your numbers will be your numbers and your things you spend on will be your things. But let's use this as an example. This person thinks they're spending £2,000 a month, a bit like my plasterer, who thinks his regular expenses are £1,500. But then we've got the clothes, we've got the holidays, we've got the pets. My pets, I mean, guys, I've got 2 dogs. Every time I go in, we come out of a bill for £100. And God knows what. Nails need clipping, they need a jab, they need this. The car service, my car service this year went from £400 to £1,600. Now, regardless of the amount, the key for you is to understand and anticipate things that you know are going to come along, but you're not quite sure. Home repairs. Loads of people go from renting, where the landlord is responsible, to buying and don't make enough provision for regular maintenance. Now, my house is 200 years old, so I need to put a lot of money aside each year, at least £250 a month, to make sure I've got enough money for maintenance. And Christmas, which is coming up now. These things are inevitable. They're going to come along, put a figure on it and turn it into a monthly amount. Now, The Money Advice Service is a government website. We'll give you the links after the show. And basically, they've got an online budget control system. So you can use a spreadsheet if you want, or an app if you want to use a budgeting app. There's loads of apps. There's Emma, there's Yolt, there's Money Dashboard, there's various ones. Or you can use their online budget planner, which has got broken down by categories. Or you can go old school. Now, the old school approach is just to get a piece of paper and write down all of the expenses. And you're going to see now what we mean by this basic, future and fun. OK, we'll come back to that in a minute. But the old paper strategy has been proven for people who found it difficult to control their spending. Using pen and paper has been found to be the most effective way of people getting their truth. But whatever method works for you, use it. The second step is you've got to give every pound a job to do before you get paid. So this is with the concept of zero budgeting. Basically, money coming in must equal money going out. And you decide before the month starts how much you want to spend on all the different categories, from core costs to variable costs to fun to living essentials. But you've got to make that decision in advance. Now, it might take your time to do this, but you've got to do it. That's the step two. Just want to make this point again. The money coming in must match the money going out before you get paid. Because if it doesn't, you've got to find a way to reduce your spending, increase your income, or a combination of the two. There's no magic to this. OK. You also need to look to optimize the spending that you have to make so that the essentials. So look for quick wins. So ask yourself, are there subscriptions that you don't want, need, or use? A little tip here. I closed a credit card. I always used to pay my balance every month. I decided I didn't want a credit card anymore, so I got rid of them earlier this year. It's amazing how many small little subscriptions got ferreted out, because when you close a credit card, or a bank account for that matter, they can no longer get their hands on your money. And there was lots of small subscriptions, and I'm organised, right? But it might have added up to 25 or 30 quid a month of stuff that I wasn't really valuing on using. And you can then make a decision. Can you lower your core costs by changing your energy provider, your insurance, your mortgage, your mobile phone? There's always, if you spent an hour to save £200 or £300, do you earn £200 or £300 an hour? You don't, do you? So spending a little bit of time, think of it like that. Time is valuable for you. Can you replace expensive debt with lower cost alternatives? That's what we do here at Neighbour. We just take people's expensive debt, make it more affordable because it's linked to the salary, so they can get out of debt as quick as physically possible. And that's another one of my sessions later in the week. Session 3 will all be about getting out of debt. That's on Wednesday, so you definitely want to join that if you or someone you know or care about wants to get out of debt. Could you run a cheaper car or repay any associated borrowing? You know, having the car you want versus the one you can afford, they're two very different things. I'm not here to tell you, I'm just asking you the question. Can you do extra work? Can you curb unnecessary expenses that have become a habit? We all know that through coronavirus, we've all managed to save a lot more money because we're spending a lot less, the opportunities for spending are less. But we want to be careful we don't fill those habits, those bad spending habits, with other spending of one-click buying. And are you getting paid all the state benefits to which you're entitled? There's a website called entitled2.co.uk, which will help you do a quick check to see that you're getting everything you're entitled to, because the rules have changed and a lot more people are entitled to a lot more money. Third step is be realistic, patient and pragmatic. I hear people talk about having lofty goals, big, hairy, scary goals. I don't want hairy, scary goals. I want goals that I'm going to make some progress on, that I'm going to feel good about, that I can actually move forward very small steps. I want you to think really tiny. I just want you to move forward in a really tiny positive way, because you know what? Small steps lead to big gains. And we can often be our own worst enemy, because that voice in our head makes us doubt our ability to succeed. And you've got to remember, the voice in your head is just thoughts and feelings. It's a bit like the weather. And you just got to let them flow in and out, but don't pay too much attention to them. So making small changes, being realistic what you can sustain, is the key to success in anything in life, but particularly in budgeting. And you've got to be patient. You've got to accept you're not going to control and now this spending control immediately, and that you are going to make mistakes and you're going to fall off the wagon and you're going to have blowouts and you're going to have, but don't think you are a failure. You are learning how to be better. I didn't nail this overnight. It took me 8 to 9 years. You can do it quicker. So if you have mistakes and failures with your money, I want you to reframe and realize that you aren't a bad person because of past decisions or past failures or past mistakes or where you are now, or that you're not where you want to be. And it doesn't mean you won't get to grips with it. You will. So like learning any new skill, this is going to take time, effort, and practice, and you're going to fall off the wagon, as I said. So learning to be better with money is, I know it's a hackneyed term, but it is a journey, not a destination. And making mistakes is part and parcel. So let's have another poll. I want to ask you this question. Again, slido.com, event code /20906. Do you think that reframing how you interpret mistakes and setbacks with your money could help you get better at managing your spending? All right. So do you think that if you just think, okay, if I make mistakes or if I've made mistakes, that's just me learning how to get better. As long as I've got a plan, as long as I've got the insights to help me, that's okay. Do you think that that would help you have a more positive attitude about going forward? Definitely, or I think so, possibly, or probably not. I really want to know what you guys think. So this is about reframing again. So failure is just learning. It's not I'm a failure or I can't do it. What's the scores on the doors right now? Are we getting any takers there?
Yes, we are. We're getting some feedback. So we have, I think so, 45%, definitely 36%, and possibly 18%.
Any probably nots?
No, probably nots.
Oh, I love you guys. I love you guys. So here's the thing. From today, you can use this in any aspect of your life. If there's one thing you get, realizing that failure is just success turned inside out. It's learning, recasting how you think. Well done. Really pleased to hear about that. Right, now, step 4 is about adopting a system. It's about adopting a system to make it easy. And this is the thing that I want you to take some time thinking about. Right. My smart spending system was developed to help me make it easy on myself to control my money. And it works by combining 3 things, right? Your identity in the form of the 3 U's. So there's essential you. That's all the things you need to live. There's the fun you, which is the bit I like, which is all about having fun today. And there's the future you, and that's repaying debts and building savings and building wealth, right? So the key is, it's not that one is more important than the other. They're all important. So if you split your money into 3 kind of basic accounts between current account, emergencies, fun, and in fact 4 accounts, non-monthly spending, this is how you actually partition your money. So as you notice there, your money comes in and we've got an emergency fund. If that is below the money that we need in our emergency fund, we have to top up the emergency fund until it's at the optimum level. And that's what we'll be talking about on Tuesday, tomorrow, and on Thursday, all about the emergency fund. I'll be giving you some top tips about how to do that and how that fits in. But the spending account, as you see there for fun, that's separated literally from the moment you get paid. So in my case, I have a Marcus account for my emergency fund. I have a First Direct account for my current account, and I have a Monzo account for my spending account. But I also have a second pot in my Monzo account for smoothing. Smoothing, notice that? That's the money. Do you remember we mentioned about holidays? So if you spend £3,000 a year on a holiday, that's £250 goes into the smoothing account as part of Fun You, right? If it was, say, let me think now. Say your pet, the pets need their jabs each year. That might be £96. So that's £8 a month goes into the smoothing account. The smoothing account is where you basically quarantine money on a monthly basis that you're going to need in a lumpy basis later down the year. So you are putting in and you're taking back. So it's just that means of partitioning. And it also encompasses automation. So one of the reasons, obviously, why Neighbour is in business is because we help people do the right thing. So obviously with our loan and savings products and insurance products, we get that money off the people before or as they get paid. But it also happens in the case of your workplace pension. Your employer money and put future you for you. You just don't think of it like that. So we're just wanting you to take that same principle to apply it to direct debit, standing orders, and different accounts. Okay. So hopefully this smart spending system graphic will be available to you after the event. Hopefully this is something which could make a big difference to you. Now the Open University, we'll send you the link for this as well, has a budgeting course. Now, you know, I'm not saying that it's for everyone, but if you wanted to, in your own time, take a series of very short sort of lessons, tutorial, if you will, and do some answer some questions on it about budgeting, this course is free. So if you're embarrassed about asking, or you need some additional help, or you feel that you'd like something a bit of a deeper dive, this course is available for free. So the final step is to celebrate small successes. what we want to do is we want to celebrate small successes and making progress. We're looking for progress, not perfection. So I would suggest that what you do is find a non-spending way to celebrate progress in a way that works for you. So often when I've achieved something, I've done something, I go, yes. Now, you've got to be careful where you do that because people might look at you in a funny way, but that works for me, right? So find something that works for you that's non-spending related, that helps you feel good and reinforce the small steps, the tiny steps you're making. You don't want big bang. You want evolution, not revolution. So as I say, I went from a complete train wreck in my early 20s to being work was optional for me. And having paid work optional is great. But even if that's not in your horizon and it's not feasible, just feeling in control of your money and feeling like you are deciding what happens to it is a massive boost to your well-being and happiness. So let's just summarize that before we get into questions. Embrace all your expenses. Give every pound a job to do before you get paid. Adopt a system like the smart spending system to make it easier, and be realistic, patient and pragmatic, and celebrate those small successes and progress. Okay, that's the canter through. Got time for any questions? So either in the chat or on Slido. If you've got Slido open, go to the questions. Have we got any questions there, Renee?
No questions yet, Jason.
Okay, you're a bit shy. Well, let me share with you a couple of questions that I had last week from people. Okay, these may might be helpful to you because I had a very lively audience last week. I know it's Monday and people are just sort of easing into the day, but they said, okay, I want to buy a house and I need to save for a deposit, but it just seems such a big hill to climb. How on earth am I going to be able to possibly build up enough deposit? And my answer was this: look, you don't think about eating the whole elephant, do you? Not that we do eat metaphorically elephants, but you take a small morsel at a time. You don't think about the enormity of the task. You've got a general direction that you want to own your own home. And to own your own home, you're going to need to have a down payment. So you have to get yourself in a position of being ready to buy. And if you don't have a deposit, you're not ready to buy. So that's why spending control is so important, because if you can get really motivated about something and it's really important to you, you're going to make those trade-offs between fun, between future, and between essential. And so one of the simplest things that you can do in that scenario to say to you, okay, I'm only going to focus on the smaller of the amount that I have already saved or the amount I've still got to save. So let's say you need £10,000 deposit and you've saved £400. Focus on the fact that you've got £400. Don't focus on the fact you need another 9,600. And once you've got to 5,000 or 5,100, then focus on the fact you only need £4,900. So that's a really good psychological tip. Focus on the progress you've made if it's smaller the number, not the number that you still got to go, and then flip it around. Another question I had last week was talking to their partner about money. They found it very difficult to get on the same page, and there was a bit of conflict. And in fact, this is Talk Money Week we're in. And in fact, some research has just come out this week that shows that money is the #1 cause of tension, conflict, and even indeed marriage breakup, divorce. And I think my answer to this would be, I've been married for nearly 26 years. And as you'll appreciate, in that time, like any relationship, my wife and I have changed as people. We've had ups and downs. We've had some disagreements over things. But what's always brought us back to what I call kept us on the same page is that we always talk about what's important. We always make sure that we're aligning our values and that we're always being clear what our priorities are. And I'll just share a quick story that when one of the biggest changes in my life was when I was 30, I sat down with a financial planner and I spent a lot of money for them to help me devise a plan. And he said, what's important to the two of you? And we came up with three things. Was that paid work would be optional by the time I'm 50. I work because I want to. That I could make sure that my children could have a good education and go to university, and that I would be debt free. Now, it wasn't that that was the be all and end all, and that specific date was everything. But what it did was it gave some legitimacy to my daily decisions. So, we couldn't always go out for meals. If you're in difficult situations, you have to make some real trade-offs. But it's not all about living in the future. What it means is that you've got to align your daily actions with your future direction. Okay, right. Unless there are any other questions, Renee, we'll go on to poll 3.
Yep, no questions. So I'll just
Okay,
press
good. Very shy today. I appreciate that. We'll warm them up through the week. Don't worry. Right, Slido.com, event code /20906. What next step will you take to help make progress with controlling better your day-to-day spending? So is it one, is it work out and review what you're spending your money on and whether it's serving you well? Is it implementing the smart spending system to help you get better control over your spending? Is it seeing if you can replace existing debt with a lower cost alternative? Or is it setting up and increasing a monthly savings to your emergency fund or workplace pension? Or something else? So vote away, because this is about you, not about me. I want to know what you're going to do. It's about taking that next step. How are we doing, Renee?
Yeah, good. We've got a few votes in. All right. Okay, so we have 73% of people are going to work out and review what I'm spending my money on and whether it's serving me well.
Yep.
17% are going to implement the smart spending system, and 17% are going to set up or increase regular monthly savings or to my emergency fund or workplace pension.
Little thing there. Don't wait till the new year to do any of this, right? Don't say after Christmas I'm going to do this. Do it before. Do it with the intention now. What's the worst that can happen? But do it in a smaller way so that you feel good. I'd rather you do a small amount and do it now than tell yourself you're going to do a big amount in the future, because you'll lose the momentum. Okay, so look, there's a financial wellbeing hub which is available to you. I think this is via the Co-op staff portal, and there's loads of content on there. There's toolboxes, there's lots of insights there that can help you, articles, etc., access to calculators and so on. Now, learning to control your spending is a skill that you're going to have to learn over time, right? But it's like anything, you've got to keep at it to maintain it, as well as achieving financial independence, and that'll maximize your happiness. And it's going to take you time, but the benefit's going to be less stress, less worry, less anxiety, more freedom of choice, and greater financial security. So it's well worth it. Tomorrow I'm going to be speaking about building your emergency fund. I'm going to start with a starter emergency fund, which is milestone 2 here. So we've dealt with milestone 1. We're going to be talking about milestone 2. Really worth it. Even if you have got this covered, it's well worth you attending, because you may be able to get insights that you can share with people who aren't at your situation or who need help with this area, because this is what it's all about, sharing. This is Talk Money Week, sharing good ideas. But here's how I want to leave you with this thought. I don't want you to accept being mediocre with money. I don't want you to accept that you cannot get ahead. And I don't want you to tell yourself that you aren't the money type. You can do this. I know you can. You deserve to worry less and enjoy life more. And if you like this webinar, do join me tomorrow at the same time, 12:30, when, as I say, I'm going to be talking about the Starter Emergency Fund. And I'll be also here on Wednesday, where I'll be talking about milestone 3, on Thursday, milestone 4, and Friday we'll be talking an overview of the 4 steps and what you need to do. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you all again, hopefully 12:30 tomorrow.